So that was President Trump. I think he forgot all about World War II, don't you think? I mean, that's what it seems like. He forgot about World War II when Rosie the Riveter, when all the housewives were just basically going into the factories and building the bombs and building the planes, building the equipment and welding and all the stuff. You know, he seems to have forgotten about Rosie the Riveter, um, which was iconic. It was an iconic sign. For a while, the men were off fighting in the war. These ladies came out from their homes and they came and just started working. And they were trained really quick. And if you think about it, those of you who have worked during the 80s or even the 70s or whatnot, taken from the unemployment line and put to work. And the thing that gets me is also there's pickup trucks that we used to drive over to like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever have you, and see a gathering of men just standing around. Hey, you guys want work? A lot of people, if you train them, they can work. They can do the job. It's just insane to me that I don't know. I think he's under a lot of pressure and something's going on there. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm Lucky One. You're listening to Quantum Connections, and let's see. I'm Hope. Oops. Oh, I forgot to do this over here. I don't know if I did that wrong. I don't know what it looks like out there. So, anyway, so the it's an interesting thing what he said there, and I think he's just got so much disinformation that he has no idea. You can teach people how to code. You can teach people how to work at the 7-Eleven, cash register clerk. I mean, it takes all of what, maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks to get somebody to run a cash register. I mean, we know that H-1Bs are being used for things like not the genius stuff, like running a register, just, basic data entry. You don't have to go through a lot of training for that. It's not that specialized. And even so, we're American and we can do it. We've done it before. It's in our blood. It's in our blood because we were born here, and we just know we do this. We have that spirit to just go do. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and let's do the intro. Okay.
You are listening to Quantum Connections with Lucky One.
Women of this country learned long ago. Those without swords can still die upon them. I fear neither death nor pain.
What do you fear, my lady?
A cage. To stay behind bars until use and old age accept them. And all chance of valor has gone beyond recall or desire.
I decided that every day when I rise from my bed, I will ask myself, what can I do to resist? And so I've chosen to resist government lies and propaganda. Every day I resist war. I resist the daily insults to human and earth dignity. I'm proud to proclaim that I've chosen whose side I'm on. I'm on the side of truth. I'm on the side of justice. And I'm on the side of peace.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me and just tuning in. And if you're here, hello. And I see some of you out there. Thank you for joining me over here. And so it's been a very interesting few weeks, actually. And it's like I got to get back in the saddle here and start doing regular content because there's just too much crap going on. As you saw, the president said that. Another thing he's doing, he's throwing Massey under the bus. And okay, so those of you who don't know, I really do like Thomas Massey. And now Tyler Green, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's doing pretty good too. And I find it very remarkable that now that they've gotten the signatures. Thomas Massey had put forth a petition, whatever have you, so that he has to have 218 signatures on that in order to get to read the names of the perpetrators in the Epstein files on the record on the floor in Congress. And the importance of that is this. Once they're read as a part of the record, it becomes part of the record forever. Okay, the congressional record, it always is there. You can go to the National Archives and see the congressional record from back in, in the old days. And these volumes, just huge tomes of freaking, pages of books of all the dialogue that was going on that was on the record. Once these names are given and read off on the floor, that is all recorded. And once that's done, it's a permanent record. And these victims will have some form, at least a little measure of justice, or at least someplace closer to justice, because it will be no longer, they will be kept in secret. If they were forced to sign an NDA, and there's a lot of legalese going on here at the same time. The victims, if they took, like some kind of compensation from these perverts, and they took the money and things like that. Well, the fact that it's an NDA, that's for the purposes of covering up a crime, which rape is a crime. And anybody who is not old enough to consent or does not consent, and that sexual activity takes place, that's a crime. It's rape. That's all there is to it. Okay. So that's a crime. And NDAs are no longer allowed to be used to cover up crimes. And that's actually the number one thing that I know about that Joe Biden's administration had done is to forbid NDAs from being used to cover up crimes. You can't use it for that anymore. Now, if it's intellectual property, blah, 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 all the stuff that your employer makes you sign, that kind of stuff. If you were kept with secrets, like if you're like the office manager for a particular business or organization and you happen to know the personal information of the CEO, like his wife's name, his birthday, all that stuff, the NDA is useful for that, to make sure that they don't dox or publish this information to the public. That you wouldn't want your information sent out. So anyway, an NDA for the use of making people be quiet, hush money is paid. That's not, it can't be used like that anymore. So anyway, these victims, they finally have had a ear to listen to them. And that was Thomas Massey. And he had press conferences, and he knows some of the names. He's actually said a couple of the names. But, and he explained that these girls, let me see where I just had it up here. Just a moment, please. He just had it. Yeah, it disappeared, of course. Thanks, X, for just letting things disappear and go away when you're looking at something. Yeah, it just jumps up to the top. But anyway, so the Hi Truth Refugee. Hi, dear. Right there on Rumble. Yeah. Anyway, so again, where I was going with this is that Thomas Massey is going to get this done. And the shutdown of the government, everybody's like talking about, it was about SNAP, it was about healthcare, the Affordable Care Act, whatever, the Obamacare Act. It wasn't really about that. It was really about making sure that the Epstein files doesn't get disclosed. Well, there's another problem. So what happened today is Trump posted on his Truth Social, and of course, like I said, it just disappeared from my screen. So Trump had posted today on Truth Social, I think it was today or last night, on Truth Social, stating that he is directing Pam Bondi to use the DOJ and FBI to get to the bottom of this Epstein case, all right, to get to the bottom and investigate this thing. The problem with that is he had been calling it a hoax, just weeks ago. It was a hoax. Well, you guys are still talking about that? what's up with this creep and everything? Why are you so focused on that? Well, because victims want justice. Sexual assault victims are watching this whole thing. They're all watching it. And the reason why they're watching it is because they want to see the elites get taken down too. We've seen where, churches where there's deacons and whatnot, and all these different people in different fields or occupations being taken down because they have sexually abused girls or boys for that matter. And so it gets swept under the rug if they're a powerful person, but if it's just Joe Blow down the street, a cop, a fire person, or military, or any other working class, they get busted and they go to jail. But if it's an elite like Epstein, he got away with it for decades. As a matter of fact, there was a doctor who was he was a doctor, and he was in charge, or he was the medical doctor for the women's Olympic gymnast team. And he was sexually abusing those girls for decades. And finally he came to light, and everybody was paying attention to, well, any gymnast, all the gymnast girls were watching this because a lot of us knew about it. Anyway, so in this case, this is the elite. And we know darn well that this Epstein guy, was intelligence. He was used in intelligence. And with the disclosures that's taking place right now, they're showing that he was indeed acting in intelligence and, manipulating stuff. Let's just say it that way. And I'm sure he was blackmailing the hell out of a lot of people by producing these girls and this and that and the other. But anyway, I can believe whatever I want, right? But these names, these girls who are now women and are suing for this to be done, they've been wanting justice, but they get paid off, and what is the word for it? It's like, take it or, but these people can be, these women can be killed. Okay. We've seen assassinations going on. I mean, hell, just look at Charlie Kirk. He started stepping away from a certain entity and on his shows and stuff. He's gone, right? So the same is true for these girls. One girl who swore up and down, she was the loudest mouth and the most recognized name in the Epstein victims, and she's dead. I think they suicided her. She had said that she was not suicidal. She was not going to commit suicide, and she's dead. So these women are very afraid, with good reason. I mean, when you're dealing with the power brokers, I mean, there's not too many people who can withstand that kind of pressure and that kind of intimidation. So with Thomas Massie reading it from the floor, or Major Taylor Greene. I'm sorry, I keep on calling her Tyler. But anyway, MTG, she's going to do the actual reading. And I think it's a good idea for that, because she is a woman, and having a woman's voice speak the names is going to give it a sense of finality that these people are under the spotlight from now on. We might see a lot of people rising up to get justice for these girls and for all the other victims out there who had never seen justice. There's a lot of us who want to see justice done. It's a thing, Justice is a good thing. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, I've got some news pieces here, and I want to find. I gotta find it. The good information. All right, so Tractor Supplies. You can get, all right, we're going to go switch channels to the COVID and remedies and things like that. Okay, I'm going to say COVID. I'm not going to sit here and filter my words anymore. I can't stand it anymore. It's just bullshit. There, I said it. So at Tractor Supply, you can find fenbendazole. You can find ivermectin. You can find all kinds of different, what's the other thing? Too much jerkiness on that video, but you can find all kinds of remedies that are good for livestock. Now, here's the thing. We are mammals. We are humans. We're mammals. Okay. And there's a lot of medicines that are available for livestock, such as cattle, horses, whatnot. Okay. Goats, sheep, whatever. They're all mammals. We can take it too. And as far as the fenbendazole, from what I was seeing, is 220 micrograms is an anti-cancer protocol. So I'm going to say it. I am not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not licensed in any of those things, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. All right. That doesn't mean I'm practicing medicine because I don't have a license. I can't practice medicine. Okay. But I'm just going to recommend that you do your research, take a look at it, and find out the dosages. I think what I'll do is I'll take a copy of this link and I will put it in the notes, I hope, after. Yeah, I can edit it later. Let me get it onto my document here so I can know to do that. All right, let's do that there. There we go. And that way you can look it up for yourself and research all the stuff that I just showed or I just told you about. And there we go. And so that you can find out more information. Antibiotics. You can get antibiotics there. Now, you got to be careful. You can't overdo antibiotics and, just kill off all the microbiome in your system. They have something called, it's generally reserved for fish. It is a full spectrum antibiotic that you put in your fish tanks to clean that up. If you have that in your emergency kit, especially with the health insurance just going nuts. I've been seeing people posting that their health insurance costs $5,000 a month, and they still have to pay when they go to see the doctor. What a scam this whole thing is. I can't believe people are still living under this. Taking control of your own health is the most important thing. And if you don't have good health, you will never have good wealth. So you've got to get healthy. That is the number one thing. And I think that's why I've survived so much. I've survived a lot of stuff being, I didn't have a lot of money, but I had health. I didn't get sick with the COVID. All right. So I didn't take the shot either. And I wasn't about to. No, sir. And anyway, so back to the Tractor Supply. There's a lot of things that's available for mammals there. So if you think about it this way, we are mammals. All right. So there's going to be weight considerations on the directions and everything. So pay attention. And you can get it a lot less expensive. Anti-parasites is the number one thing. Fenbendazole, ivermectin. I can't remember the other one. And so you'll have to do your own doses. What was the other thing? There was another one I'm thinking. I said about the antibiotic. There was another one, and it just slipped my mind. If you don't have the means to measure out this stuff for yourself and figure it out, you can also go to Brooks Agnew. All right, Brooks Agnew blog. And he's here on Truth Refugee also. You can catch him on Sundays and Wednesdays. He has a store, all right, and he sells reports. And with the reports come samples, all right? So take a look, and if you can't do your own dosage, you figure it out. Your ivermectin, the fenbendazole, the other things. He's got a good store there. It's pretty cool. Anyway, back to... So there's the Tractor Supply. So your farm supplies, right? I would recommend if you're asking questions of the staff, they're going to be limited in what they can say to you because there's going to be state government people that's going to be trying to close them down or bust them for something for like practicing medicine without a license and things like that. So be advised, they might not be able to talk to you frankly. All right. So if you're in the city and you can't find ivermectin and whatnot, you can go out to the country and just go to a Tractor Supply Tractor Supply store, or farm supply store. Okay. Usually in your rural areas, it's pretty good. And they'll like the business. That's cool. What else? Let's see. So, all right, I can close that because I did it. Yeah, I did it. All right, so there's that one. Medicines from Tractor Supply. All right, next. Pulling it up. Give me a second here. And let's see. So, it's called Wisdom. All right, and we were talking about the health and everything like that. And so I came across this, and I thought that was very good to share. Wisdom in health and such. Drink water from the spring where horses drink. The horse will never drink bad water. Lay your head where the cat sleeps. Okay, because the cats sleep where it's good. So lay your bed where the cat sleeps. Eat the fruit that has been touched by a worm. Think about that, especially today with all the pesticides and everything that's been sprayed on everything and from the skies and everything. If a worm doesn't want to eat it, don't do that. Another thing too, here's an aside here. They did this test. Some people got this test and they took a Krispy Kreme donut, right, and put it down by an ant mound, and they wouldn't touch it. The ants would not touch that Krispy Kreme donut. If they're not going to eat it, don't you eat it. If ants will eat it, it's probably okay. Probably okay. Provided, okay. So basically work with me here. Not dead flesh or anything like that. You don't want to eat that. But anyway, you know what I mean. Eat the fruit that has always been touched by, or eat the worm eat the fruit that's been touched by a worm. Plant the tree where the mole digs. That I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because they make it they aerate. Could be. Build your house where the snake sits to warm itself. Now that makes sense, because that's probably a south-facing hill or something like that. Dig your fountain where the birds hide from the heat. That's because they always have cool water, right? Go to sleep and wake up at the same time as the birds. You will reap all the day's golden grains. Eat more green. You will have strong legs and a resistant heart, like the beings of the forest. If you're a vegetarian, that does not go for you. You don't need to eat more. You need to eat meat. Yes, I said it. Swim often, and you will feel on earth like a fish in the water. Okay. Look at the sky as often as possible, and your thoughts will become light and clear. I agree with that one. It lets you breathe too. Be quiet a lot. Speak little, and silence will come in your heart, and in your spirit you will be calm and full of peace. So some pieces of wisdom that I had heard and thought that would be nice to share. There's a few other bits of wisdom. We always do have those, don't we? Well, because we do. Anyway, you know what I forgot? I don't believe I forgot it. So who's been investing in gold and silver? Yeah, gold and silver. Yeah, because I watched it today. I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm wondering what it's done thus far. Let's see here. I like looking at APMEX for the gold and silver prices. Yeah, so gold's at $4,097.98 right now. Its all-time high was $4,254.50, and that was on November 13th. That was pretty freaking awesome. I mean, all the people who have gold, they were like, yes, they're all excited and happy. And I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, they understood when they first started buying gold why they bought gold. It's because the dollar's devalued constantly. So you buy gold to retain your wealth, to retain your money, your purchasing power. So they're sitting there like, yay, yay. Well, all it does is it's representing how bad the dollar is looking, how bad the dollar is devalued. That's what the gold prices mean. Silver is sitting at $50.79, and it's off of its all-time high of $54.51, which was on November 12th. Again, it's showing the devaluing of the dollar. Now, additionally, I do have to say that the silver prices are artificially suppressed. Okay, now I've said it before, I'll say it again. Silver should be 1/17th the value of gold. And what that means is like 17 ounces of silver should equal a gold piece. And that's been throughout history. That's the average throughout history, 17 pieces of silver to 1 gold. Okay. And yeah, so recommend highly that, sorry, I thought I got a notification over there, but I highly recommend that you put if you got wages and you got a few extra dollars here and there, put it in gold or silver and or Bitcoin. And if you're going to, and when I say Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin, not ETF, not ETH, not any other acronyms or alphabet afterwards. Okay. You put it in Bitcoin and make sure that you have it on your own hard wallet. Okay. And one day we will talk about different hard wallets and different methods of storing your keys to the Bitcoin. I really do recommend it. Now Bitcoin has kind of fallen. It was down to like 94,000 today, and that's really low. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, go on down, go on down, go on down. It's okay. It is okay. Reason being is because I'm kind of expecting it to go down to the 80s. Okay. It's let's see here, not this one, not this one, not this one. Goodness. Okay. I don't have my phone on, so I don't want. Let's try that again. I can't believe I don't. Wait a minute. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's on the wrong. I'm on the wrong page. That's why. So let us do this. Like I said, it was down to. It was all the way down to 94. There we go. Found it. It's at 96 now. It's at $96,435. All right. So let's take a look. And this is, why is this? Let's spread this out. Yeah, it pretty much took a tumble. Oh, yeah. Why is this like this? Let's do 1 year. All right. So the all-time high for that was like 124,752. It is down at 96.50 or 45. 450,000, excuse me. Really? No, $96,453. Good grief. I don't know why it's all shrunk up like that. But anyway, looking at the pattern, it looks like it could either come down or it can spike again before it's going to plummet. I'm looking at the three peaks that went up like this, right? And then it's got the all-time high, and I expect it to come down and then come back up again, and then like that. That's what I'm expecting. It might avoid that peak, though. It's like going back up again and then come down. But either way, I mean, I'm looking at, previous events, and because I'm seeing the 3 steps going up, it looks like it's at its all-time high. So, yeah, I really think it's going to go down. And I kind of hope it does so that we can buy more. Do it. Seriously, guys, buy that Bitcoin. And I hate to say buy that Bitcoin. I'm saying get a hold of something that's going to retain its wealth. Yes, it goes up and it goes down. It seems like it's volatile. Bitcoin's not volatile. The dollar is. The dollar is what's volatile. Anyway, back to where I was at. Anyway, so yeah, this is I'm just looking at it like, it's okay, guys, don't fret, because either way, all right, about 500 days after the halving. Okay, those of you who know a little bit about Bitcoin, you know something about the halving. Okay, halving is what it is, where the miners' rewards is halved every 4 years. The reward for minting the block, all right, is divided in half. So I think it was 3.25, and then it's going to be down to 1.75 or something like that when it goes into the halving again. And that's due in 2028. All right. We already had one in 2024. That was on 420, no less. Hell of a day there. So 500 days after it does that, that's when usually Bitcoin goes way down, way down. There's another metric to take a look at, and that's the hash rate. So if you look at the hash rate on it and you see that it's spiking and it's staying up and everything like that, the price usually goes up. Okay. The price, it shows that it's a higher price. When it comes down a bit and it's not as utilitarian or efficient, the price reflects that. So anyway, that's another metric to look at, to consider which way it's going to go. Either way, if you take in Bitcoin and you've got some, don't sell. Don't sell. It's not going to max out anytime. All right. Think about it this way. Even after all the Bitcoin's mined, okay, there's still going to be miners fees for transacting in Bitcoin and things like that. So it's always going to be valuable. So it's not going to come back down after that, unless they find something else that is far more precious than Bitcoin and gold and silver altogether. I don't know. They may. Doubt it, but they may. I mean, they might try. Anyway, so clear that off of here and clear that off of here. Fenbendazole. Okay, so I was talking about fenbendazole either, and I meant that's where I was going here. And I have to thank Truth Refugee for sending this to my way about the useful tips and things like that. It's a Substack, and who is it? Let me get the Substack person's name so that you can follow them there. Actually, I can't find the name on it. Looks like it's by Ben Fenn. And he posted this November 9th. Let me go ahead and take this link and I'll put it in the notes later on also. Fenbendazole, questions, answered, things to know, useful tips for November 2025. It can cure cancer. Everybody who's had to deal with cancer knows. And I kind of, I've got friends with, those of you who get older, you're going to know, you're going to see people, your friends and relatives, and you never know. There's an all spectrum of society, there's cancers and stuff. So it's this particular piece is an update to an article they published years ago. People ask a variety of questions with the use of it. Anyway, so I'm going to try to skim it here, or scan it here. It's usually prepared in the form of a very fine powder, similar in consistency to confectioner's sugar or cornstarch. It'll come in either a capsulated pill, a pill-sized digestible shell containing the powder, or the powder is loose within a container. The loose powder form typically will include calibrated measuring scoop of 222 milligrams. I guess it's milligrams, not micrograms. Excuse me. You can see what it looks like in the photos that's in the article here. The longest successful use of fenbendazole is a veterinary antiparasitic medicine since the late 1950s. Wealth of safety data has been acquired and stood the test of time. According to drugs.com, there's no commonly used drugs interact with fenbendazole, so you can take it with anything pretty much. It's so safe for veterinary consumption that it's sold by the 50-pound bag. Did you hear me? Fenbendazole is so safe for veterinary consumption that it is sold by the 50-pound bag. Just a second. I'm just going to kind of scan off of this. So the standard dose of 222 milligrams of fenbendazole is the amount they use to deworm a 10-pound dog, is used for cancer treatment and certainly at the lower end of any practical scale of toxicity. Also recall that the nation of India routinely deworms its population twice a year using fenbendazole. Okay, it's an analog of fenbendazole. Okay, so with fenbendazole, you want to mix it with the oleic acid, or it's a fatty acid that occurs naturally in various animal and vegetable fats and oils. Most readily available oleic acid-rich practical substance is olive oil, most likely due to its role as an emulsifying agent. They found that pairing I'm losing it. I can't say it. I'm sorry. With the oleic acid or olive oil greatly enhances the bioavailability of Mebendazole. Okay. The magnitude of effect was substantial, 1.6 to 2.8 times greater. Serum levels of it were obtained when co-administering it with the various oils compared to controls. Olive oil was the most effective booster. As should be expected, the increased serum levels of the mebendazole translate into more effective parasite killing effects in the animal models as well. So the practical application of interactions, fenbendazole with the substances mentioned above are straightforward. To maximize the likelihood of ingested fenbendazole getting into the bloodstream to kill distant cancer cells, helping absorption is wise. Whether you choose to take fenbend with a fatty meal mixed in a tablespoon of olive oil or both, these actions should deliver more bang for your buck with respect to more of the fenbendazole surviving the digestive degradation to deliver more cancer-killing punch. Guys, I've beat cancer and I didn't know anything about fenbendazole, okay? And if I beat it without it, and this is here for me. And not only that, it also proves out to me, okay, that fat is not bad for you. You get a little bit of fat on your steak, you eat that. Go ahead and eat it. It's okay, all right? They had scared Gen X, the boomers and Gen X were scared to death by the news, by the doctors, by the whole apparatus of media about eating fat. I mean, we were basically bullied into eating margarine, which is actually machine oil. It's disgusting. All the vegetable oils, which is actually machine oil, canola oils, which is actually rapeseed oil, and I forget what the other one is, but canola oil is Canada oil, and it's flavored to make you eat it. It was intolerable when they first tried. I was just telling a friend of mine about this, that when back in the industrial age, all right, they had found that rapeseed oil, and other seed oils were used to oil the gears on the machines for the for the assembly lines and whatnot. They found that that's what it was. They got pretty much pushed out of business because of the Rockefellers and their oil industry, the petro industry, the petroleums that they were using. So that basically forced out the seed oil companies from having any demand. So what did they do? They were like, okay, here, eat this. We can cook with it. You can do this with it. And it tasted so horrible. It was horrible. And people were like disgusted with it. So what they had to do is they repackaged it. They had to enhance the flavors of it and refine it in different ways in order to get it so that it had a neutral flavor that you can deep fry with. And in Canada, they have the rapeseed oil and whatever else, all the other seed oils. And they combined it, and it's called Canada oil. And that's where they got the word canola oil from. Ugh, it's still machine oil. Don't eat it, please. Okay, don't eat it. Use coconut oil. I mean, hell, that's great. Coconut oil, tallow. We got tallow. Oh my God, we got tallow, and it makes everything taste so much better. It is so awesome. And you know what? I had learned when I was in Yugoslavia at one time, this one lady, she was telling me, she was a Bosnian lady, and she was explaining to me that they use the pork fat, which is called lard. They used the lard to moisten their skin, and it made it really good. She had beautiful skin. So there's something to that too. And here's an old rule of thumb in regards to food. If you can't eat it, don't put it on your skin. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, look at the warning labels on the back of your soaps, your conditioners, your shampoos, your deodorant. Oh my God, deodorants, antiperspirants, Yeah. So anyway, back to fenbendazole. I apologize. So people found success and convenience taking it mixed with a serving of yogurt or peanut butter. There you go. There's some fat, right? And it's good fat. And if it combines with that, which, it's getting past all the gastric juices that would wear away at the powder, and it gets into your intestinal tract where it's absorbed into the body for nutrient purposes, and it'll go ahead and get that stuff. So you take it with a small amount of saturated or monounsaturated fat, something with a carbon chain above 14 to optimize absorption. Butter is an ideal choice. Approximately 85% of the ingested fenbendazole would survive first pass metabolism en route to the target cells. A recent pharmacological study found that the co-administration of fenbendazole with salicylic acid, a metabolite of aspirin, increased the solubility of fenbendazole 800%. Wow. Okay, so that's a big deal right there. Aspirin's not the bad guy. Oh, yeah. By the way, please remind me to tell you about the Tylenol and cannabinoid relationship. Maybe I should write that down, huh? Let's do that. Tylenol, cannabinoid relationship. Okay. If I remember to open up this page again. Okay, so sorry about this, guys. I'm a little bit scatterbrained sometimes, but it's okay. We'll get it done. Lost my page, didn't I? There we go. All right. So there was recently an instance of a person with a small cell lung cancer, SCLC, who had eradicated 90% of his tumors with fenbendazole. But then he started to feel pain, and diagnostic testing showed that the tumors were returning. They probed and found that rather than his wife administering the Fenben in yogurt as she did initially, when he started to feel better, he had self-administered his Fenben by mixing it into his morning coffee. His wife was asked to run her finger along the inside of the coffee mug. The fenbendazole residue was coating the mug. He immediately switched to liquid Fenben. Within a week, the pain subsided, and in 6 weeks, all the lung tumors were gone. This has just happened over the past few months, detailed in case report to come. Anyway, so 3 of the case reports have been published in peer-reviewed oncology journals, which is good. All right, so let's see. Case reports examined correspond with the case reports titled metastatic breast cancer at age 83, prostate cancer stage 4, age 75, BRAF positive malignant melanoma, age 63, male. Okay. For the breast cancer case, complete remission, 3 years, no recurrence. Stage 4 prostate cancer after the fenbendazole, near complete remission, 26 months, undetectable PSA. Stage 4 melanoma, fenbendazole, complete remission, 11 months, NED. So the test-retest within subject demonstration that fenbendazole eradicates cancer. Embedded, let's see, I'm going to scan forward. Hang on. Let's see. All right, so the particular person with SCLC had his cancer mostly eradicated by fenbendazole imaging verification, only to have it return imaging verification despite continuing to take it. At first blush, it seemed that it was not working. As mentioned above, it was discovered there was an administration issue preventing from being ingested, and once the issue was resolved, his pain subsided, and that was accompanied by cancer resolving. Excuse me. This situation is best described as a happy accident or scientifically as an experiment in nature. It would obviously be unethical to ask someone with cancer to purposely stop taking fenbendazole to see what happens, but that is what happened here by accident. Anyway, so it eradicated almost all the SCLC, and there was an administration issue with the fenbendazole, and the SCLC returned. Once the issue was identified and resolved, fenbendazole eradicated the cancer again. So let's pause for a second there, because what that tells me is that this the cancer can't overcome the fenbendazole. You know how it's like if you take antibiotics against an infection, right? But for some reason, the antibiotics is not strong enough or good enough or whatever, or the antibiotics was not completely done correctly. What happens is that the infection builds up an immunity, or it builds up a strengthening against the antibiotic. And so you have to go to a new kind of antibiotic. And if that doesn't resolve, you have to try another antibiotic. And what happens is you get an antibiotic resistant infection. Okay. It looks like, based on what we just read, that you're not having this problem with a fenbendazole. You can keep, if the thing comes back or get reinfected with cancer, it works. So that's a good thing. It cannot mount a defense against the fenbendazole. Got that. Okay. The paper that apparently found no anti-cancer effect of fenbendazole on occasion will receive a notice from a reader regarding a particular study out there that has found no anti-cancer effects from fenbendazole. Anyway, so advanced gastrointestinal cancer, the mebendazole did not help eradicate cancer in patients with various gastrointestinal cancers. Referencing the absorption discussed above, the first question one has to ask is, given that the target group studied had various GI cancers, could absorption issues have contributed to the failure and to find an effect? The answer appears to be yes, as the investigators observed that only 5 patients reached the target serum mebendazole concentration. And since there were only 10 patients in the study, and if only 5 had evidence that the treatment was actually absorbed, it stands to reason that the study failed to find an effect because of simple absorption issues. That is, if the drug does not enter the circulatory system, it cannot be expected to have an effect. Makes sense. The study should have never been published anyway, because the errors in the design of the study, the low number of subjects, and the glaring alternative explanation of the failure to find the effect of the drug, the subjects could not absorb the drug, as evidenced by the fact that therapeutic serum levels were not reached in most subjects. But it's published and we should be aware of it. Anyway, so does it cause liver damage? That's a question. Some have expressed a concern that it's been linked to liver injury. There's a report documenting the effect of fenbendazole on liver function as measured by enzymes aspartate transaminase, or AST, and alanine aminotransferase, ALT. Using the Google of fenbendazole and cancer returns this case report as a first result. Let's go ahead. The elevated liver enzymes may be a good sign for cancer patient taking fenbendazole. Those liver enzymes, the AST and ALT values, may spike for 1 or 2 months as the liver is stressed by the influx of dead cancer cells as it filters and processes the cellular debris from those dead cancer cells. So the AST and the ALT increasing is a sign of hepatic stress or work, not necessarily disease. In the context of the fenbendazole use, these liver enzymes usually normalize after the cancer is eradicated by the fenbendazole. So basically, it's like, you know how you have a fever and you break the fever, but you're still achy in the shoulders and your joints are achy. That's because of the dead bodies of the virus is still in your system and hasn't flushed out yet. That's why you have aches and pains when you have a fever. You have aches and pains when you have a flu, because that's those. It's not just the creatures, the virus. It's also the waste product from the virus. Yes, exactly that's exactly what you're thinking is shit. Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about. Anyway, so for your information, liver enzymes will also fluctuate with other non-cancerous sickness recoveries as dead cellular debris enters the bloodstream and is processed by the liver for removal. The liver's doing its job. It's going to be working, though. It's going to be working a lot. This is part of the normal physiological process. Temporary liver enzyme fluctuations should be expected to occur as a matter of course when using fenbendazole, and the fenbendazole kills the cancer cells. So interpreting the cancer diagnostic tests in context of fenbendazole. Another issue is interpretation of the metabolic bone scans, or PET studies. PET studies, I should say. After eradicating cancer that spread to the bone, oncologists may interpret the hot spots in the bones that show up in PET scans, the lytic lesions, the holes left in the bones where the cancer was, as indicative of metabolic activity consistent with cancer, when in actuality the activity is related to the bone remineralization and remodeling regrowth in the previously cancer-filled holes. Because the concept of a cure, such as fenbendazole, is foreign to mainstream oncology, they may not factor in the possibility of a cure into their thinking. The upshot is their misdiagnoses may be made and potentially harmful overtreatment could be prescribed. So that's a very worrisome thing. It's like you're getting holes in your skeletal system because it kills the cancer, and so they read those holes as being cancerous. That's not cool. Anyway, but please understand, your doctors, your medical industry, they are all about treating cancer. They don't want to cure it, but they want to treat it, and it's a trillion-dollar industry? Is it quadrillion by now? A quadrillion dollar industry. It could be. I'm thinking so because, I mean, what are they going to do? Think about it this way. They've been looking for a cure for cancer. Everybody's looking for a cure for cancer. Well, if they found a cure for cancer, look at all the businesses throughout the United States and all these fields of study and all these medical people will have nothing to do. There is no business anymore. There's no business in healing people. There's no business in curing them. Sorry, guys, it's a fact. They make their money when you have problems, and they got to make sure you have problems. And I'm very angry about this because it's very that kind of thing is happening all throughout the medical industry. Okay, and I'm going to call it that, medical industry, because it's not healthcare, and we surely know that, don't we? All right, so we're going to talk about prevention now. Let's see. So there's risks associated with taking medicine you don't need, and on the other is taking medicine that will prevent something like cancer. The conceptual issue with prevention is a logical issue of proving a negative. That is, if you never get cancer after taking Fen-Phen, then it's impossible to determine that Fen-Phen caused you to not get cancer. That, yeah, right? Having said that, some of the animal studies cited here definitely proved that fenbendazole prevents cancer. In fact, the initial observation was that prior routine veterinary deworming treatment with Fen-Phen prevented the experimental brain tumor grafts from taking root and growing. This is literally the definition of prevention. Also recall that the nation of India, which routinely deworms its population twice a year using fenbendazole analog, has 1/3 the incidence of cancer as does the U.S. Only 1/3. So think of all the people and only 33 of them. I don't know. So regarding a protocol, some healthy people with no concerning risk factors due to the following: once every 3 months, we take 222 micrograms, of fenbendazole, along with tablespoon of olive oil for 3 consecutive days. Sorry, I don't know if that's milligrams or micrograms. I apologize. I think it's milligrams. So it's 222 milligrams of fenbendazole with an olive oil for 3 consecutive days. A reasonable preventative protocol could be developed that took into account risk factors and weighed the aggressiveness of the Fen-Phen administration based on those risk factors. Because the safety profile is so great and the cost of Fen-Phen is so low and the cost of developing cancer is catastrophic, it may be wise to consider some sort of preventative program. The devil's advocate might argue that because it appears for all intents and purposes that the Fen-Phen can cure cancer, the rationale of preventing something that can be easily eradicated is somewhat of a fool's errand. Whether the upfront preventative approach or the after-the-fact curative approach is adopted, it's nonetheless comforting and empowering to have a weapon like Fen-Phen in your arsenal. Well, I'm thinking another thing altogether because if you think about cancer, it's a cell and it divides and grows and things like that. So it takes over, but it has to be introduced from outside. It comes from somewhere. And our immune systems repel all kinds of pathogens. And yes, cancer is a pathogen. Since our body's repelling it, it's when we have an immune system that is weakened for whatever reason, stress, some kind of toxicity, injury, shock, all the things, okay, that might give cancer a foothold, because in its environment, because we have MCGAF, okay, we have those in our body, which really shreds cancer. It just shreds it up. But if your immune system is compromised for whatever reasons, this seems to be a thing. Because if you kick it out, like he said, every 3 months, okay? So if you think about it this way, if cancer has a foothold for whatever reasons, you got sick or your kids got sick or something happened, whatever, your immune system's a little bit compromised, you get something, a little bitty thing is starting to grow. You don't know it, the doctors don't know it, everybody doesn't know it, but every 3 months you're taking fenbendazole, it's eradicating that. So it basically removes the foothold, is what I'm seeing here. As a preventative, I'd like to see the slides and see what's happening when that stuff gets a hold of cancer. That's what I want to see. I want to see the slides. I want to see the video images. If they can get that, that would be really cool. The reason why I want to see it is like I want to see what's going on there. I've seen slides and I've seen video images of how MCGAF works. I've also seen what the elderberry juice, the enzymes in elderberry juice, what it does to the what's that one freaking Ebola virus? What it does. So it's brutal, man. It's violent. Okay. There's a battle going on in our bodies at all times. All right. So it's just a matter of establishing your perimeter, making sure that no violations take place. And should there be an invasion of something outside of your body that's inside your body, repel it with the necessary things. All right. And make sure you drink clean water. But anyway, devil's advocate might argue that because I already said that. Whether it's the upfront preventative approach or the after fact curative approach is adopted, it's nonetheless comforting and empowering to have a weapon like Fenben. So, time course and half-life of Fenben. So knowing how long a drug is active in the body is useful for a number of reasons, the most important of which is to help to guide dosing. In a study measuring the disposition and time course of mebendazole in the blood of healthy human volunteers, found that a single 1,000 milligram dose had an average half-life of 7.4 hours. Okay, according to drugs.com, the half-life of a 500 milligram dose of mebendazole varies between 3 to 6 hours. So using the value of a 7.4 hour half-life in human subjects suggests that if multiple doses per day are used, that spreading them out by 7 or so hours might be a reasonable strategy to maintain therapeutic blood levels of Fenben. Okay, so the big question everybody's wondering, because we've got this foreign entity that's in our blood, in our bodies, in our immune systems that was introduced to us during the 2020, 2021, 2022. COVID-19 shots and boosters in cancer and Fenben, okay? The recent phenomenon called turbo cancer appears to be linked to COVID shots and boosters. We all know it. No reason to argue about it. There are many other articles that present convincing evidence linking COVID mRNA shots and boosters to the appearance of sudden, very aggressive, often fatal cancers in a variety of subgroups, most troubling in the 25 to 54-year-old age group. These cancers, along with the mRNA shot-induced cardiovascular injuries, are reflected in the much higher death rates in most age groups since the pre-COVID shot era in 2020. These deaths are also reflected in the greatly increased payouts of life insurance companies compared to the pre-COVID mRNA shot time period. The increased deaths have nothing to do with the COVID virus. Okay, that's it. So, this particular periodical, the Substack article was spawned, or the account, by one of those turbo cancer cases. If several of the case reports that are presented here related to COVID mRNA shots, many of the cancer in the case reports were caused in mRNA shots, according to the person making the report. So far, in the roughly 1 year time period that the Substack had been around, the only instances that we're aware that Fenben was not effective, absent failure to take it, was when COVID shots or boosters were administered after self-treatment began and was showing positive results. Those instances described involved 3 separate cases of pancreatic, esophageal, and renal cancer. If Fenben is kryptonite to the cancer cell, it appears that mRNA COVID shots are kryptonite to the fenbendazole effectiveness. So you need to know. Don't know what the mechanism might be through which these shots interfere with the actions of the Fenben. Most likely, it's not a direct effect of mRNA shots on microtubule or glucose utilization action of Fenben on the cancer cell, but more likely a generalized immune system exhaustion effect. Tumor suppression, gene disruption, or undiagnosed cardiovascular injury, blood clot, or stroke caused by the mRNA shots that masqueraded as cancer death. Just theories. So keep that in mind, all right? So if you're self-treating cancer, Fenben, avoiding future COVID shots and boosters as if your life depended on it is something to consider. The veterinary use of Fenben is there's a warning about using this during pregnancy. Don't administer to pregnant or nursing animals or mammals. Okay. Recall that Fenben eradicated cancer stem cells in experimental preparations. It could also affect the same stemness associated factors shared between CSCs and normal stem cells. To the extent that normal and malignant stem cells share common mechanisms that may similarly be disrupted by Fenben, caution should be exercised when considering the use of Fenben during period of heightened stem cell activity, as would be present in pregnancy. So please, if you're pregnant, don't use it. We're going to have to find something else, okay? Let's see. Looking for interactions with other drugs. Cimetidine, whatever that is, it may decrease the hepatic metabolism. Serum levels of mebendazole may be increased since plasma levels of mebendazole varies greatly among patients receiving the drug. The clinical significance of this interaction is not well established. So, that's Tagamet. Okay, so Tagamet, among others, is a H2 histamine receptor antagonist blocker that inhibits stomach acid production. It's mainly used in the treatment of heartburn and peptic ulcers. Great. Okay, so that sucks. So a heartburn drug may decrease the metabolism of the Fenben by presumably disrupting the stomach acids, which has a net effect of increasing the blood levels of the Fenben. Okay. As acetaminophen is in the news regarding potential toxicities, it may be prudent to never pair any drug, including Fenben, with known hepatotoxin like acetaminophen. Be aware of the acetaminophen is the corn syrup of the over-counter medicines. It's in everything from pain meds, sleep aids, cold and flu medicine. Yeah, I have my own thing about the acetaminophen. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So there's manufacturers and brands and things like that. I'm not going to go into there. So you got my recommendation on this. I already talked about it. You can find some at Tractor Supply. Take the notes and look at everything. Okay, look at all the things. Make sure you mix it with a yogurt, a butter, or olive oil, whatever have you. Okay, so make sure it's done with a fatty acid, with fat. Okay, a fatty something. Okay, the good oils. It's good for you. Okay, so I am going to let's see here. I just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah, I think, okay, that was pretty much the end of the thing. But yeah, I would recommend that you read the Substack from Ben Fenn. Yes, that's cute. I know. Ben Fenn. And definitely look at his articles. He's got good stuff there, and I'm liking it. And thanks, everybody, for sending me links and stuff like that. For these news pieces, right? So Newsom was California Governor Newsom. I'm going to go change channels now because it's like I'm Fenben out. I'll talk about Tylenol later and acetaminophen. Newsom was caught red-handed on 17,000 illegal trucking licenses. Okay. I have friends that are truck drivers. Okay. And it's horrible for them out there. They are working their asses off and they're trying to be safe, and it's scary as hell. I mean, and let me tell you something. Your good truck drivers are going to have dash cams, and they're going to record everything. If you're one of those motherfuckers that like to go out there and try to get in front of them and, cut them off and slam the brakes, they've got dash cam video. Okay. And it records the whole incident. And what happens is that dash cam is going to keep the 30 seconds prior and 30 seconds post accident, or maybe 3 minutes. 3 minutes prior, 3 minutes post. That's just great. All right. They got it. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't know it was in here. I really didn't. I couldn't find it. Anyway, the Biden-era sanctuary state policies in California, foisted on the state and Americans by Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, have once again collided with federal law, this time on Americans' highways. California Department of Motor Vehicles has admitted to illegally issuing 17,000 commercial driver's licenses to foreign nationals who were not legally eligible to hold them. That's Duffy, Secretary Duffy. He's doing a great job, by the way. Good job, Duffy. After weeks of claiming they did nothing wrong, Gavin Newsom in California had been caught red-handed. Now that we've exposed their lies, 17,000 illegally issued trucking licenses are being revoked. This is just the tip of the iceberg, he said. My team will continue to force California to prove they have removed every illegal immigrant from behind the wheel of semi-trucks and school buses. School buses. School buses. Oh my God. School buses, that's where your babies are. Your babies are on the school buses going to school and you think everything's fine. There's a fucking illegal care. Oh my God. School buses. Okay. Not saying that they're more special or than, that they're specialer than everybody else on the roads around trucks, but still, Anyway, the revelation has triggered an immediate federal crackdown, forcing the state to revoke every single one of the licenses or face steep financial penalties. According to Duffy, the exposure came after an audit by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, found systemic violations in California's licensing processes, violations that allowed non-domiciled and in many cases undocumented individuals to obtain credentials to operate heavy commercial vehicles, including semi-trucks and school buses. The DOT confirmed official notices have been sent to all 17,000 holders, warning them their licenses no longer meet federal standards and will automatically expire within 60 days. California is also being required to submit a full audit of its non-domiciled CDL program so federal regulators can verify every illegal license has been canceled and to ensure the same policy failures do not recur. The FMCSA's investigation uncovered... We got dogs. Brady, shut up. Anyway, systemic policy, procedural programming errors in California's non-domiciled CDL system. The lapses allowed licenses to be issued to individuals whose legal stay in the United States had expired, or in some cases who had no verified legal status at all. The audit found that more than 25% of CDL records sampled in California failed to comply with federal law, including instances where licenses were extended far beyond the driver's work authorization period. Hello, H-1B. Yeah, okay. They're being brought here. And you've seen the horrific videos of these wrecks. People are dying out there. And the thing is, it's already a problem with, I know that there's sometimes you got insurance fraudsters and they like to get in a wreck with a semi and try to get this, because that's, it's a bullseye. Because they think they're going to get a huge settlement from the trucking company. But it's not going to be the case anymore, guys, because they've got cameras on all their trucks. Your better carriers, they have cameras, dash cams, they've got rear cams, they've got all kinds of cams. And they even have a cam on the driver. And I'm sure you've seen some of those videos. Get this. It's not going to work, that particular insurance thing. Because if you go do that in front of one of these illegals that are driving, you ain't getting jack shit. You might hurt yourself, your children, your loved ones, your friend, whatever. You're going to get hurt in that thing because it's 82,000 pounds that they can't. It doesn't stop on a dime. Don't be a dumbass. Anyway, so critics have long accused Newsom of using the state agencies to shield illegal immigrants from the federal enforcement. California remains one of the few states openly granting standard driver's license to illegal residents. And now the DMV appears to have gone further, handing out commercial driver's licenses that allow operation of 40-ton trucks on interstate routes. Now, these motherfuckers are going from California and they're going all throughout the United States. So, you might be in a red state like Tennessee, say Tennessee, and Tennessee does not acknowledge CDL driver's licenses from California anymore. Okay. So if you get pulled over by a Tennessee state trooper and you don't have I shouldn't say you, if the driver does not have or is not a legal resident of the United States and is from California and has his CDL issued from California, nope, they're getting pulled. Okay. They're getting pulled off the road right then and there. And I think it's a beautiful thing because these people can't speak English. They can't read English. They don't understand English. And so when the sign says, caution, icy roads ahead, the motherfucker doesn't know what it means. Okay. And to be clear, it's actually the danger is not just in the big trucks. I actually saw what's called a Sparks, I think it's called. A Walmart delivery driver from Venezuela doesn't speak a lick of English. He's got a translator on it. But the thing is like if there's a sign that says, you know, the road is closed, you know, the thing is that they're not going to know it. They're not going to understand it. And they're going to cause havoc or a wreck, you know. It's not good, guys. All right. And I think it's a national security issue. It's been a national security issue. People have been complaining for a long time about what's going on, especially about the Amazon drivers and all that nonsense. So anyway, the latest violations compounds California's growing conflict with federal regulators. In October, the DOT announced it was withholding $40 million in federal funds after finding that the state had failed to comply with mandatory English language proficiency standards for commercial drivers. You know what makes me mad? I got a CDL back in 2000. Was it 2000, 1999, 2000? 2000? Yeah, 2000. I got a CDL back then. It was for passenger motor coach. Okay. And they do a 10-year background check on Americans. 10-year background check. You have to submit every address you lived at for the past 10 years, every job you held for the past 10 years, every job, not only job, but what your income was and all this stuff for the past 10 years. You have to have a clean driving record. You have to have clean criminal record. You have to have clean, everything has to be spotless in order for you to get that. Now that was in 2000. What the hell is this? How the hell are they doing this? And that's a federal thing. How do you get a federal FMCS or FMSCR? Sorry. That's federal. The CDL is federal, but it's issued through the state, but it's federal because the federal laws apply. It's federal. Anyway, it drives me nuts that we had to go through all that. And you can't drive for more than 70 hours a week. Oh, and I guess they're ELP. No, that's ELP. The clocks. Well, we used to have paper book records. We had to write how many hours we'd been working, how many were driving, how much was at work, how much rest we had, and all this stuff. Now they have automated systems. Not automated, excuse me. It's digital computerized systems. And apparently this system, the system that they've got now in these big trucks, you can scam it. You can scam the system. Yeah. Anyway, especially team drivers. But anyway, the agency has now warned Sacramento that up to $160 million in federal highway funds could be pulled unless the state brings its licensing programs into full compliance. The report also noted that California Highway Patrol publicly declared in July that it had no intention of enforcing the federal English language requirement for truckers, a position that Duffy slammed as reckless. In May, he ordered stricter nationwide enforcement of ELP rules, emphasizing that any commercial motor vehicle operator who cannot communicate in English will be placed out of service. And, you know, if they can't speak the language and they don't have the visa to work here, and they don't have residency here, and they're not citizens, and they're not supposed to be here, they can get deported. And the company that is, you know, that has a truck, that owns a truck and is, you know, brokering these people out there, all their goods is sitting there on the side of the road, but they don't seem to care. It's insane. Anyway, so with 17,000 illegal CDLs now revoked, Duffy says the department's mission is clear: hold California accountable and restore integrity to the nation's transportation system. It's not about politics. It's about safety and the rule of law. Let's see here. And okay, so that's enough of that. But Duffy's doing a good job, I have to say. I am pretty happy with his work. Him and Homan and Bessent. Yeah, they're doing good. Oh yeah. All right. So let's see. Okay. Did I put that link on there? I think I did. I hope so. No, I didn't. I have to copy this. Sorry. Just a second here. Thought I had. Let me put that link in here so that you guys can find this later. And oh yeah. Okay. Let's go to the Tylenol cannabinoid relationship. Something happened today, and of course it's not on my timeline. I can't see it. It's not on my screens right now. Something that was mentioned. For flip's sake. It is late at night here. Why are they calling this late? Oh, I know. And never mind. It's okay. Anyway. It should not ring again, I promise. Wait a minute, I shouldn't promise something I can't control. Never mind. I retract that. Anyway, so the Tylenol, acetaminophen, and cannabinoid system. So after the hemp, we got to talk about the hemp bill that McConnell from Kentucky threw into the Senate negotiation to open the government again to ban all hemp. It's going to destroy a $20 billion a year industry. Hemp is being banned and put probably back on the schedule, on the Schedule 1. And he basically did it as an up yours or something. I don't know. Well, not as an up yours. If, almost $1 million being paid to him from the alcohol industry. Okay, the alcohol industry just paid him $900,000. Another thing, too, is so it ties into Tylenol here just a minute. And I'm wondering if Tylenol had something to do with it also. Okay, so what Tylenol does is it interferes with the, trying to remember the names of the chemicals and stuff, but it interferes with the CB1 and CB2 receptors. Okay, CB1 and CB2 are your receptors for THC and CBD. Okay, so what this does, it's going to give more. People are going to need Tylenol. They're going to go to Tylenol, and what happens is the body makes these enzymes that make you feel better. Basically, it's supposed to be pain relief, but it's toxic. Okay, we'll get into that in just a minute. Hang on. I wish I could find it so quickly. Let's see if that's it. Open you. Let's see, where'd you go? Okay, that's another matter. Let's see here. I could have sworn I took notes on this one. And I apologize for not having it right. What? Why did I carry this? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close that because I don't want to go into that. Tylenol, where did I put that freaking note? I'm upset about this. I do apologize because I did have it. That's not it. Let's take a look there. Nope, it's not there. How about there? Nope. Gosh, dang it. I'm sorry about this, guys. I wanted to get more information on that. But I'm going to recommend some people for your Twitter files. When I say your Twitter files, I mean go into X and who to follow. There is a Dr. Jack Kruse. Okay. He's the real one. You have to find the real one. All right. Dr. Jack Kruse. And he's a neurosurgeon and pretty much expert in so many things. And he's talking about light. Okay. We must have the proper light so that we can live fully. And when I say that, I mean immune system, healing treatment for your body. All right. Light, like sunlight, is where I'm going. Sunlight helps relieve pain, believe it or not. And I'm not talking about getting in the sun and getting a sunburn. No. But if you have aches and pains and everything like that, you can get in the sun. Okay, I know a migraine, forget it. I'm with you, guys. I'm with you on that one. A migraine, forget that. But the thing is, he's talking about light, and that's just the most recent thing. It's like he's just a wonder and full of information. And that's where that information is under Dr. Kruse. Let me take a look at that. I think that might be the case. So let's see here. And I think I'll find him here in just a second. I bet you that's what it was and why I'm for it. Where's the search? There we go. Where is he? Not there. Gosh, man, I'm telling you. Oh, and also he's a Bitcoiner and he's down in El Salvador. Let's see if I can find it. Because I want to get Yep. All right. So I would recommend the name is Dr. Jack Cruz. So at Dr. Jack Cruz. And that's Kruse. All right. He's a neurosurgeon on a mission to create health from disease by decentralized thinking, Bitcoin, and again, anyway. So, like I said, he's recently been going on about light, okay? And it's really detailed. He's explaining how it works and things like that. So, let me see if this is where he... Nope. Centralization of light was seen in the elite mummies, same disease as today's humans. They ate paleo diet and still apart inside their temples. Okay, anyway, okay. What's this? All right, no. Nope. I'm sorry about this, guys. I thought he was the one who's talking about the stinking, not Tylenol, but acetaminophen. And I'm going to have to cover it later. I apologize. Dang. Anyway, well, I am doing what I can to go carnivore diet, mostly, okay? Meats are very good for you. They really are. I thought we were being piggish if we're eating only meats and yes, the fats and everything like that. But you know what? I had a small steak today for breakfast or brunch. Let's call it brunch because it was later. Just a small steak. And I was satiated. I wasn't hungry. Now, the day before yesterday, I had eaten, I had grits. Okay. Then I was hungry just mad hungry later. And what did I eat for that? It was, I think, either rice. Was it rice? Yeah, it was rice. Carbohydrates. All these carbohydrates. Take a look at it. And then I was so hungry. Throughout the day, I was just hungry and I had to eat more. Right? So the satiety of steak, or when I say steak, I'm not talking about really expensive. You don't have to get filet mignon or anything like that. You can get regular steaks and work it out. Make it tender on your own, figure it out. But the thing is, it's like, it's cleaner if it goes through your body properly. It doesn't get blocked up by fiber and rope materials or anything like that. But no, seriously, eating meat is good for you. And ground beef is a very good idea. Now, you got to keep in mind that some stores are doing nefarious things and trying to do more damage than necessary, let's say. My brother was telling me, because he loves to grill. He's always grilling. So he explained, he's like, haven't you noticed you can't grill a burger on the grill anymore over open flame? You can't do it anymore because it's just fire. All this, it just, leaps and fire. Because what they're doing is, when they take out the fats and everything like that and they render and make tallow, right? They make tallow with it. And then what they do is when you buy the store meat, you get the store meat and they inject tallow into it. Okay. Now we're not talking about the hard granules. And so if you say, for instance, you're buying 90% pure beef, or in other words, not so much fat. So 90% beef rather than 80% beef. Okay. So what they do is they're injecting tallow into it to make it heavier. It's cheaper to do. And you think you're getting 90% beef, but actually you're getting tallow. But the reason why they get away with that is because tallow is not considered fat. It's not considered fat anymore because legalese, because it's been rendered. It's been changed in nature. So that's how they do it. Anyway, so they've got it heavier. You can't grill on it, or you can't do open flame grilling anymore. It just starts a fire and stuff. And it's like your grill catches fire. It's horrible. Anyway, so just want to let you know. So yeah, I'm eating meat. I have to take it easy on pork though. For some reason, I just don't feel very well after I eat pork. Like the day after, I'm not feeling good. And I have to find out from a local source, or, get a locally butchered pork, And I think that's what I'm going to do, because bacon doesn't do this to me. It's just pork, like a whatever, ham or pork chops, whatnot. Seriously, it's like I just don't feel good the next day. Anyway, so beef is good. Chicken's good, okay, but you need more fat. I can't believe I'm saying this. I remember in my 20s, we were like, oh, chicken is the best meat to eat because of this and that. It's like fat free, chicken breast and all that stuff, and don't eat the skin and make sure there's no fat on it. Man, we were hurting ourselves. Think about it. It's like fat. You need fat to protect your brain. Seriously, you need fat to protect your brain. And when if you don't have cholesterol in it, and I'm not talking about the bad, evil cholesterol, the kind that scars your arteries. I'm talking about the good cholesterol that's in fats, whatever fats, okay? And when I say whatever fats, I'm talking about actual animal fats like milk, butter, cheese, all those fats from a cow, beef, whatnot. If you don't have that cholesterol in there, you're actually more susceptible to having a heart attack or stroke. That's what happens, Anyway, so I'm trying to eat meat a lot more. It's sometimes I just get a craving for like grits. I can't believe I'm eating grits. I'm an adult. I'm eating grits now. I have no idea why the dogs are barking now. Maybe they're barking at me. I don't know, because I'm talking in the wee hours of the night. Anyway, so I wanted to just touch base about all this stuff, and that thing just disappeared on me again. So, oh yeah, Thomas Massie. So, I think that wanted to cover that too. So Trump has hired or dispatched his billionaire class against Thomas Massie. Yeah, and I'm a little bit pissed about that because why, man? Well, Massie is, kind of trying to carry through on all of Trump's campaign promises. If you think about it, he's been campaigning on all these different issues, and nope. And Massie's just saying, "Hey, let's make it law," and he's right. Let's make it legal. Let's make it lawful. That's the word. Let's make it lawful. I do know that Massie and Rand Paul are both from Kentucky and against what Trump's doing, like in Venezuela and the Epstein thing. Oh yeah, Epstein thing. Sorry, I squirrel. Epstein thing. So yeah, they have released a lot of documents. Okay, it's been released, and supposedly they are implicating Hillary, Bill, Huma Abedin, Weiner. They found stuff on Weiner's laptop that's getting to the intelligence, and people are disclosing. And the reason why Trump has decided to set Pam Bondi on the Epstein case. This is what's going on. He's got Pam Bondi investigating the Epstein files again, or the case again, now that the government is opened. What that means is those victims can't talk about it because it's an ongoing investigation. They can't disclose it. Investigators can't disclose anything because it's an ongoing investigation. So while all this stuff was going on with the government shutdown, Trump did not want that investigated. He actually said it was a hoax. Yeah. It's ugly. It's very ugly. And I think a lot of people are going to go down when this stuff comes out in the open. So, it's, so let's see. I'll go let's see what Newsweek says about this. It reveals Donald Trump's allies in private comments. So I'm not sure. I'm ambivalent on whether Trump was was involved with any girls or anything like that, but I really do think that he wasn't. So Thomas Massie is saying that Donald Trump and his top administration officials are saying privately they are opposed to releasing the Jeffrey Epstein investigation files to spare the president's friends from embarrassment. Massie defied Trump and the Republican leadership with his discharge petition to bring a House bill that forces a vote on releasing the full Epstein files, and the vote is slated to take place next week. Trump called the Epstein issue a Democratic-driven hoax and denied any wrongdoing. Trump's under renewed pressure about these files, a politically damaging issue that caused a rare and severe fracture with his loyal MAGA base. Yeah, MAGA is pissed. He campaigned on this for years. And so did his sons. I mean, they were exclamatory on what, about the Epstein thing. So you wouldn't be so loudmouthed about it if you were guilty, right? And he was, but something happened. I think somebody's got Trump by the balls. And the reason why he's doing this and acting like this is because that person who's got him by the balls is saying, we don't want Epstein covered. We don't want Epstein stuff coming out. And it has been disclosed also that Epstein was indeed in intelligence, okay, in Israeli intelligence and doing deals between countries. Intelligence. Okay. Anyway, so the Democrats and mainstream media are desperately trying to use the hoax as a distraction, Trump says, to talk about anything other than Democrats getting utterly defeated by President Trump in the shutdown fight, said the White House, So, of course, Massie has been talking about this. He said, well, somebody's being embarrassed, and probably this president's friends. And they'll say that privately. They won't say it publicly. I don't think embarrassment is a good reason, like saving somebody from embarrassment is a good reason to protect dozens of men who preyed on underage women means girls, okay, who preyed on girls in a sex trafficking operation. He also said that I can't prove this because this was in conversation, but Donald Trump himself has said that the release of the files are going to hurt his friends in West Palm Beach. And I may have just made news there, but here's the thing. I think it's not just going to implicate them, some of his billionaire friends and donors. I think it's going to implicate our own intelligence agencies. So a tranche of emails from Epstein released by the House Oversight Democrats raised fresh questions about what Trump knew of Epstein's behavior and activities as well as his own conduct. The White House said the Democrats have selectively released emails to create a fake narrative and smear the president. The emails prove literally nothing. That's pretty much what Hillary said about the emails that WikiLeaks leaked, right? Yeah. 3 other Republicans joined Massie in signing the discharge petition to force the House to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, and MTG. By the way, MTG and Lauren Boebert, and I forget who the other one was summoned to the White House. Okay. They were summoned to the White House and they were trying to strong arm them into rescinding those signatures on that petition. More Republicans have signaled that they will vote yes, despite not having signed it. Okay. The petition reached a critical 218 majority of the signatures when Democratic Representative Adelita Grijalva was finally sworn in after GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson called the House back into session for a vote to end the federal government shutdown. Grijalva immediately added her name to the petition. Now, let me tell you what's going on here. Johnson refused to swear her in as a congresswoman. She had been voted by her constituents in her district in Arizona quite some time ago. And Johnson refused to swear her in. And then when it was time for her to swear in, again, he shut down the government, or they shut down the government. Okay. She's a Democrat, so of course she's hated, but she signed the petition. And here, guys, here's the thing. Democrat, Republican, hey, if you're signing for the petition or you want this all to be disclosed because girls were raped and there was a bunch of elite predators out there and all those predators get disclosed, that's a good thing. And I don't give a fuck about the fucking fallout. I really don't. I don't give a damn. All the embarrassing things about the United States. Hey, we're pretty much laughing stock. And I know this. You know why I know this? Because I've been to Europe. Okay. I've talked to the people and they tell stupid American jokes. Look, we don't have any pride left. Okay. When I say pride, we have pride, but we don't have false pride. We can't be going around with puffed up chests around the world anymore because sometimes we're fucking idiots. I mean, think about how we let things slide for so long, and we haven't taken up one pitchfork, not one tiki torch. Well, actually, that's not true. There was a group of people who had tiki torches. Yeah, and they got demonized, didn't they? Makes me wonder. I'm going to have to look into that group again, see if they have any valid, purpose. Anyway, so apparently the people that were strong arming the lady congresswoman was Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Johnson, trying to convince Bobart and Mace to pull their signatures. They took Lauren Boebert over. Massey said she went willingly, but she went to Situation Room at the White House where they tried to convince her to take her name off my petition so that we would never get to 218. God bless her for staying strong. She did not cave, crumble, or yield. He continued, they told one of my co-signers, we can't let Massey have a win. Isn't that crazy? Like pettiness of that. It's not petty. This is not petty. They're doing fucking damage control as much as possible. And I'm really concerned about Massey. I'm concerned for his safety. Yeah. So I think people should donate to him too. And yes, he takes Bitcoin. Anyway, so Trump's telling Republicans no deflections to Epstein. Okay, so he said on Truth Social that only stupid Republicans will fall into the trap laid by Democrats or the Epstein files. Calling people stupid is the worst thing you can do when you're having an argument or you're trying to convince people, your point. If you just call them stupid, we all know this. That's not an ad hominem attack. What is he doing? He's a better negotiator than that. He is a better debater than that. Where's Trump 2015 when he said something like, yeah, you'll go to jail? Where's that guy? Where's that guy that said, yes, I didn't have to pay those taxes because I'm smart, because that's what the law reads. This is your donors make sure that these laws are in place. That's why I don't have to pay those kind of taxes, and neither do you or any of your donors. Where's that guy? Where is that guy? We miss him. I think most of our country misses that guy. Now he's become, I don't know. And if he's doing it on purpose, if he has a point, I mean, there's some things that just, I do know that, anyway, I already talked about that. It's like, anyway, so he continues on, he's talking about the $1.5 trillion. He also did that thing about the H-1B saying that, the Indians from India should be coming in, and not only that, but wait a minute, on that same program with Laura Ingraham, I think it was on that same program. He's also talking about accepting 600,000 Chinese students to our higher universities. Now, wait a minute. Do you remember 2016 President Trump? Do you remember him? And the FBI and the FBI was tracking down. Excuse me. The FBI was tracking down all the Chinese spies, and they were taking intellectual property from Harvard. Do you remember all that money? Those of you who've been listening to me for a few years probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and that. I don't know. Fucking A. So, again, the reason I think I got everything, I think I got everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't know. Anyway, I have not looked at the screen in a while. I'm sorry. This is what we do, I try not to, stare at this thing too much. Anyway, so this is a new record for, going Rumble only and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's an hour 40 minutes, I think. Huh, interesting. Anyway, so take care of yourselves. And last time we talked, we also had the issues about the SNAP benefits going away and when those SNAP benefits go away, the people were supposedly going to riot and steal the groceries and this and that and the other. That's something about the government opening up. Secretary Rollins. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Secretary Rollins, she said that they are going to do a complete overview. They're going to shut down all of SNAP, and everybody that's on SNAP has to go back in and re-verify that they're eligible for SNAP. They're going to make sure that that the people that no foreigners are getting SNAP, that it's only Americans, and they have to be valid. I mean, not valid. They have to be warranting this kind of thing. It's to avoid starvation. It's not because, you should be getting fat. I resent it. I resent it highly to know that people are just sitting on their asses and they're eating away at all the junk food, the stuff that's causing disease. And guess what's going to happen? Since when they get the disease after eating all that crappy food, the crappy prepackaged bullshit that you get at the major stores, behaving, that those people are going to get sick. Okay, they're going to get sick in a matter of 10 years, if not sooner. They're going to get terribly sick. And we're going to have to foot the bill for the freaking medical. There's a lot of us who cannot afford our own medical. But we're going to have to pay for these blimps on SNAP. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to go nasty about it. But yeah. Anyway, so you can find me on Truth Refugee, and that's truthrefugee.com, where we connect, unite, and thrive. Okay. Paisley Wild is there. Oh yeah, she was doing, guess this. Okay, it was so funny because I got to tell you something real quick. Okay, about Paisley. All right, Paisley Wild is the spaces between. She's also on truthrefugee.com. And she did a post about grounding, how important it is to ground yourself, and that doesn't mean putting yourself in timeout. That means going out barefoot on the ground, so you can connect with Earth. And she has other things to cover there too. So be sure to go to truthrefugee.com and check out her show there. But it was funny because she posted it as my sister-in-law and I were talking about grounding sheets, and she got new grounding sheets and she's plugging in and it's getting plugged in and this and that and the other. And it was exact same time we were talking about it, and boop, I get the notification that Paisley went live talking about grounding. I don't know. It's just synchronicity. It's just, it was funny. So anyway, all right, you guys, I will talk to you later, and I hope you have a lovely night. I hope you have a lovely night and a wonderful weekend. I might jump on again because there's been so much news, and it's just, it's insane. Okay. Oh, another person to follow if you're going on X is Colonel Towner. Colonel Towner. Yes. ACOLTOWNER. I think I got it right. I hope so. Anyway, she's a retired colonel, and she is deep diving into all the BS. I mean, she's deep diving like I used to. Well, actually, no, deeper. She's going deeper into things, and she's been covering Operation Gladio. And if you don't know what that is, it's funny. There's going to be there's some stuff in there that she refers to at other operations and things like that. And you'll hear these names and like, wasn't that in a movie? Yes. Let's see. Lethal Weapon was talking about Project Phoenix or Operation Phoenix or something like that. That was also one of the things. And I'm like, whoa, so anyway, yeah. So check her out too. And I'm not going to sit here and just tell you all who all to follow. I'll do that, like a couple people on Twitter that I follow. And I'm actually quite proud because I'm finding that the people that I follow that I've been following for a long time, totally disparate, totally different genres and different scopes and different interests and different social strata, everything, right? So I'm this person here, there, all these different people. It's because it keeps your mind open if you have a lot of distant or different views. The funny thing is what's happened here lately in the past couple 6 months, okay, is I'm finding that this guy is following this guy and this guy and this guy. They're all starting to follow each other. It's very strange. It's like, how did that happen? Because they're from totally different worlds, okay? And they're following each other. And I'm watching this and it's like, Whoa, did I do that? Anyway, okay, that's enough of that. I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves. We'll see you probably Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I might jump on beforehand. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Be careful. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And go hug your kids. If you got your kids, go hug them. And if you don't have children, go hug your pets. Okay? Love you. Good night. Looking for it.